So if I wanted to start a podcast, most of the reason I would want to start a podcast is because I'm trying to record my thoughts in some manner that they can just kind of hang around and maybe marinate for a little bit. Because every now and then when you have a really interesting and great idea, if you don't write it down or if you don't talk about it with somebody, it might just sort of flitter away into just, wherever. The medium. The nether. But the other day I was thinking about CO2 production from power plants and factories, and I don't understand what the problem is with capturing that CO2 at the source. I've taken plenty of organic chemistry and I've taken some physics and things, and typically when you have a chemical process occurring, you know what the output is, and you understand the temperature differentials and all the other factors that go into, if you wanted to, catching the output from your chemical process. Now, if it is the case that CO2 is harmful to our environment with regard to how it does indeed raise the temperature of the planet, then we should have control mechanisms during our processes in factories and in power plants that just collects the CO2. I don't understand what the big issue is. It's a gas. And if you have a gas pouring out of a power plant, I mean, there's stadiums that are built that hold 100,000 people, and they're massive in size. Why wouldn't you just build a power plant 300 feet down in the ground and then put a dome over top of it, catch all the CO2 that comes out of it, and then do something with it? Because plants like CO2, and there's a lot of other processes that CO2 is valuable for. So to me, it seems more like these power plants and these factories that are dumping CO2 into the atmosphere are doing so to actively heat up the atmosphere, because at some point somebody must have somewhere realized that if we heat the planet up with CO2, well, what you have is more heat, which is nice, but you also have more CO2, which increases plant growth. So in a world with 7 billion people, where you have to feed everybody, and all of the sunlight that comes to this earth turns into plants and cellulose and sugar, so you do need plants if you have 7 billion people. So I don't know what the deal is, and if anybody listening to this can wade through my insanity and come back with a solid point on how and why we don't just collect all our CO2 from our manufacturing processes. I mean, that I don't know. I think it would be a interesting conversation. So, to anybody who gives a shit, engage.